charts right here. So then we can look for continuous bearish pressure from the US dollar, weakening of the dollar, and probably look for it to get to this level eventually if we don't get an earlier reaction. Okay. So with that said, we know that the dollar is bearish. So then we can look at our other pairs. Let's look at some USD pairs. So Euro USD, we can see that we're pretty bullish on Euro USD. As we continue, as of today, Monday, we can see that price has closed slightly above those levels, pushed to the upside, and then we can look for continuations. However, what I'd be looking for, just for it to make a bit more sense, in my analysis, is we get a clear break of structure there, which is good. Previous highs have been broken. So then I'd be interested in looking for, if price continues breaking, I'd be looking for price to sort of come back to the downside, and then we can buy continuations to the upside, because price does seem pretty bullish. Also, we can see that the dollar is quite bearish at the moment. So that is on the 15-minute time frame. Looking at it from the 4-hour time frame, from our higher time frame perspective, still the same thing. We can see that this is an area of interest that led to that break of structure to the upside. So then maybe we can wait for some retest and then continue to the upside with a break and retest entry. And then we can target these highs right here. Some of those previous highs can be good targets with a very good risk to reward. If we were to enter now, I wouldn't enter now on an intraday perspective, just because I'm seeing some huge imbalances right here. Okay, so maybe we can wait for price to come back, sweep some of this liquidity down here as it comes back to retest this zone that caused the break of structure, and then look for potential longs with a good risk to reward. If those previous highs are our targets, then we can be patient enough to just wait and see how price wait and see how price plays out in the next couple of days. Still on USD pairs, so we're looking at GBP USD. Let's see, support flipped to resistance. Okay, this is some price action from last week. Let's just clear some of these charts so that we have a clean view. Okay, so again, bearish on the dollar still. So then what can we anticipate? Continued bullish pressure from pound USD, GBP USD. We're looking for it to continue to the upside, probably target some of these highs, some of these previous highs, as TP possibly clear above there, and then continuation buys would be of confidence. But as of now, we just want to see what price does above those levels. If we were to buy GBP, if we were to buy GU at this point in time, I think I'd be waiting for a break of structure to that side, come back for a retest somewhere around there, and then buy those continuations, right? That's what I'd be looking for. We can see that we're getting this IBOS right here. It's a bit more clearer on the 4-hour time frame. Yeah, we'll just be waiting for candle close. So again, we're getting into Asia session at this point in time. So we'll be waiting to see what price does overnight, at least tomorrow, see what price action we get, maybe come back for a retest around this zone tomorrow, around the 134 zone. And once we get to 13400, I'll be looking for continuation buys to the upside. But what I need to see first, first is a bullish push to the upside. And then that would be interesting for me to look for continuation buys. Okay. Let's look at USD CAD maybe. Let's see what's happening USD CAD. Yeah, so we're bearish on USD at the moment. So what we can see, let me just get rid of that. What we can see happened here, we got clean breaks of structure to the downside. We got that structural pullback, which is good, and then we continued again to the downside with continuation breaks, which is fantastic. And then we got another pullback, and then another continuation break happened last week. Again, pretty bearish on the dollar because of the Israel-Iran war, I think has had a negative effect on the dollar. So that's why we are seeing that bearish pressure. Now, we had a good break of structure. We can see that our IBOS was taken. We had internal break right there. Within that pullback, we could possibly see another deeper pullback. However, we are reacting off this key level. But if we do break that key level right here, if we do break this level and continue up to the upside, I'd be looking for price range and then continuation sells to the downside with that continued selling pressure and these strong highs to remain strong and remain unbroken. So that's what I'd be looking for with regards to USD CAD. Again, we can wait to see what Asia session does tomorrow. Overnight, I think if we wake up and we are priced quite well, then we can look for entries on USD CAD sells from tomorrow. If not, we can anticipate for a further pullback into a deep premium range, and then we can look for continuation sells. That is currently what I'm looking at for USD CAD. Still on some more USD pairs, AUD USD as well. Still bearish for me for this week. I think we chopped around quite a bit within that range, and then we finally broke to the downside. So we are looking at what we had last week. We'd be interested to see buys from here after liquidity sweep. So sweep of that liquidity, and then we're seeing those buys in terms of a pullback. Now, what we can be looking for, because pressure seems to be to the downside, just breaking out of that range. Well, this is very interesting that we swept that liquidity and then we reacted off this point of interest, and then we've pushed on up to the upside. So then what I can wait for is, again, wait to see what price does overnight during Asia session. And then once we wake up tomorrow morning, we'll have a clearer picture. But what we can be looking for is a reaction of price of this area of interest. Again, it gave us a nice clean break to the downside. And then we can see that price has been struggling to break out of this zone up here. So 1 touch, 2 touch, 3, 4, 5, more than 5 touches. And then we immediately broke to the downside with strong confirmation and aggression. So then we'd be looking for continuation sells, AUD USD to the downside again, because the dollar is still bearish. So that's kind of what I'd be looking for. I'll be keeping a keen eye on this, especially in these areas. I'll be putting in my alerts, and then we can wait to see what price does. Watching it throughout the week is AUD USD for those continuation sells. NZD USD, let's see what's going on. Same here. I think we broke out of this channel right here. A lot of consolidation was happening for quite some time. We broke to the downside, retested that level, and then continued to the downside. Continued bearish with bearish price action. We can see that price opened again bearish with the dollar still weakening. So now with that said, we'd be looking for what does price do within that range, and then we can have a deeper pullback possibly to that range. But now what I'm interested in for NZD USD is still a bearish push to the downside as we continue, because then those would be continuation sells, and I think that good risk to reward trades can be identified from some of these zones. So that's kind of what I'm looking for in terms of NZD/USD for this week. And then if we get all the way down to some of these areas, we can see that that was a strong low. Then possibly we can start looking for buys. If we do come back to retest some of these levels, we can see that we had maybe the 05800 levels here are some of the levels of interest. If we can stay within this zone, if we get those buys, we'll be waiting to see what price does within that zone on the 4-hour time frame, and then maybe we can now start looking for reversals if the dollar begins to strengthen, and that gives us some more bullish pressure within the next weeks. BTC USD, let's see what it's doing. Well, yeah, we're still within this range. We've been anticipating a big break to the upside for BTC, just because that would, we're bullish on Bitcoin, And I know that buys from here would be very, very strong buys. I think price would be moving really aggressively, looking to possibly give us new all-time highs at the 120,000, at the 120K level. But yeah, again, the note still holds that we're waiting for to see a price break and a hold above the 110 level, and then shoot to the upside. This is a good pullback right here that we are seeing. Internal structure has still been bearish. We broke some of these key levels right here. A key support level has been broken there, so we'll be waiting to see what price does this week. However, I'll still be bullish on Bitcoin just because I feel like this is a very sufficient pullback, especially after we broke some of those key levels coming all the way from here. I think we've pulled back quite a bit. Yeah, as you can see there, beautiful, beautiful levels. So I'll be looking for some buys here sometime this week. I'll be looking for price to give me entry confirmations, and then I can buy those continuations to the upside, probably target some of these key levels here and here, that 109, 110 key level, because I know that there will be another price reaction there. That's what I'm looking at for BTC USD, just to keep it moving. On gold, let's see, what are we looking at on gold? Right, gold, still bullish on gold. We had previous all-time highs here, 3,500 level. I think price would want to be coming back up to that level. Why do I think that? We've been seeing consistent, let's see, higher highs and higher lows, higher highs and higher lows, higher highs and higher lows with a break. So this could be our confirmed higher low. We just want price to continue breaking to the upside for that to be a confirmed strong low. And we can see that these lows have been holding for quite some time. This price, we were looking for price to come down and hold, and it did exactly that. So, and now with the pressure of the bearish pressure on USD, I'll be looking for continuation buys somewhere off these levels. Now, what I'd be interested in seeing is what price does over Asia session here, and then I can look for continuation buys to the upside as we go break that structure and then continue, right? So still to buy the pullback into new highs. Yes, yes, yes. That's it right there. So yes, bullish on gold. Our last week was there. We were looking for it to react off this price level. It really didn't. It just pulled back, which is okay. Sometimes price doesn't get all the way to our key levels, but that's just kind of what we are looking at for gold. Yeah. Let's see. Again, good pullback. Looking at the fib, almost at that 71 level, which is good enough for me. I think I'll be looking for long-term buys from this level. Not long-term, yeah, long-term buys from this level right here, unless anything changes, and then come all the way up. From an intraday perspective, let's see, yeah, price is moving, consolidating within this range. I'm not seeing anything interesting. Right there, I can see we have some key lows there, which is good. Da-da-da-da-da. Bam, 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 boom. We had a nice clean break of internal, which is good, meaning that with this change of character, internal pullback has ended. So now we get our IBOS, which is good, and then we come back to retest this level, and you can see that price pushed right above it. So then what I'll be looking for in terms of entries, just so that my risk to reward is good enough. I mean, if we break below that, we are in that zone. If we break below that zone, I'll be looking for, let me see, what am I looking for? Boom. I'm looking for an entry somewhere around here with my stops. Nope. Somewhere around there with my stops right below, and then I'll be looking for price to continue to the upside. But again, Asia range can come in and do whatever it wants to do. Okay. So as we wait, we just hold our horses. From the higher time frame, I think from a swing perspective, you could possibly start looking for entries and just be aggressive with it, and anticipate that bullish push to the upside as you go ahead and break structure. Now, next one, GBP cards. I mean, bullish pressure as well to the upside. Let's see, what else is there that is USD? I think we've touched on everything. GBP, USD, we've touched on that. I think key area of interest again, key support level right there. If we break below that demand, I'd be waiting for, break to the downside and then a retest of that level, and then we continue down. But as of now, we're still pushing to the upside. What are we looking at? USD, JPY. Let's look at some JPY pairs. Well, from the Japanese basket, we can see that we're pretty bearish on the yen. Pretty bearish. We've broken that key level right there. Key demand, key support has been broken. So again, beautiful retracement to the upside. Maybe we retest that level and then we continue bearish. So with that said, JPY pairs, we are looking bearish. So I'll start with USD JPY. Right. Okay. So looking at price action from last week, we can see that we broke structure right there to the upside. I think we're very bullish on the dollar last week. No, we're not bullish on, well, kind of bullish on USD JPY particularly, just because the dollar was doing a recovery. The dollar was doing a recovery and we pushed on to the upside into a big key level right here where we closed off. But then we can see that we've opened this week with big bearish pressure because of the bearish momentum of the dollar. Seems to be holding, still bearish going down. What we'd be looking for, because we've had that complex price action, very balanced, very fairly priced. So it would be interesting to see that price action just being taken as we go. So yeah, this one is still a balancing act between the bearish pressure of the Japanese yen and also coinciding with the bearish moves of the dollar. So now that we have that break of structure, this could be our complex, not complex, but that could be our pullback right there. So then what I'd be looking to see is maybe a pullback and then a continuation with an internal break of structure. And then that would be a confirmation that we are continuing on to the downside. And then we continue selling that retracement on the higher time frame. That's possibly what I'd be looking for. If not, then we look at that continuation to the upside if we break above that level with confidence. Euro JPY is pretty bullish. Yeah, we watched that break happen last week, which was very, very good. So now with that said, what I'd be looking for is to continue with this bullish pressure. I'd be looking for buys. Why? We follow the trend and the trend is our friend. So with that said, I'd be looking for Euro JPY to sort of retrace to some of these levels right there, maybe give it a reaction, and then we flip some of that key area right there. What I'd be looking for is setting my alerts around these key zones right there. Looking at entries on the medium time frame, possibly on the 15-minute. And then with that said, I'd be looking for continuation buys to the upside. This is a very, very confident and aggressive push and a break of this key level. Break of that key level, one sec. Let's see what it's looking like on the daily. Yes, yeah, with very minimal resistance as well on that side. So then we'd want to see price come all the way to these previous highs around the 175 level. Now, if we're targeting 175, then we'd be looking for some buys, aggressive buys around this area right here that caused the break of structure. And that would be our entry. So it'll be interesting to see what Asia range does for us tonight. And then as we wake up tomorrow morning, just look for those continuation buys as well. GJ, let's see what GJ is doing. So analysis on GJ at the moment is looking like this. Right, so we have our fib there. We had our break of structure, confident break of structure to the upside. We can see that price had been testing this key level, this area here, and really failing to break. But then finally we got a break to the upside, which is good. A confident break with that, not just a weak break like this one. You can see that was a fake out. It broke above that level and then quickly got back in on the higher time frame. That will just be a wick. So just a fake out, caught some early buyers, took them out completely all the way, took out all this liquidity, and then continued to the upside, which is good. Clear sign and confirmation of bullish pressure. We can see that retracement from a key level, which is as anticipated. So then what we'll be looking for is continuation buys to the upside What I would personally be very interested in is to see price pullback. Just because, we could get a sort of complex pullback, possibly slow retracement to the downside. So then I'll be looking for continuation buys from this level here around the 196 area, and then I can continue with those buys to the upside and possibly target these highs up here. GJ, what else do we have? NAS 100. Let's see what it's looking like. Looking pretty bullish still, pretty bullish from last week. I know that Tesla has been recovering way better this week. Guys like Nvidia also doing quite well. So we've been seeing some higher highs and higher lows. We got a nice high right here, and then sort of internal complex pullback. But what I'd be looking for is if we get that continuation of the pullback, possibly price could come back to these key levels down here, and then we continue with those buys to the upside because things are looking pretty strong in the stock market as we speak. Anything else that is on my watch list? NZD USD. I think that move has sort of happened. We came back to some key levels down here. Okay, we got a clear break to the upside, complex pullback, pullback to the downside, and then I think, yeah, possibly we could continue buying from these areas. What I'll just be looking for, I think what I can look for at this point in time, because price has moved quite a bit, is a clear break to the upside. Clear break to the upside. We take out these highs, come back and retest that level, and then continuation buys. I think that's what I'd be looking for if I'm trading NZD USD at this point in time. Got a request for US 30 as well. Let's see. Pretty bullish as well. We can see we've been creating higher highs, higher lows. There's a higher high right there. Maybe another higher low. We're looking for some of these lows to hold right here. Okay. This is a high right there. Yeah, still pretty bullish for US 30. If just looking at it from the get-go, we are reacting off of some of these key levels. We can see that there is a change of character right there. Yeah, nice change, retest of that level, and then continuation to the upside. This is a beautiful week, beautiful rejection right there off of this area here. So then we can look for more continuations to the upside. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in to this video. Let's see what price does tomorrow. If you haven't joined our Telegram community, please go ahead and do so. Subscribe to the channel as well. And then I do have some training down below. I did an interesting video on if you're into crypto, you can check that video out, because two things happened in the weekend. Legislation around the Genius Act. I think that one is a big game changer, especially for crypto gurus, crypto geeks. The other one is around stablecoins. Also, some interesting stuff around the crypto space is about to happen. So I'll be keeping a keen eye on that space as well.